Hi, Nika. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Jamie. Thank you for having me.
July 26th, 2024. Mark your diaries, as my guest today, Nika Ptushkina, is hosting the first in-person event for women in batteries at Stanford University. It's in partnership with the Stanford StorageX Initiative, and it promises to be an amazing event. They've got an incredible panel of speakers lined up, some great food and entertainment as well. I unfortunately can't be there, and I feel very bad about that. So I wanted to give back and help Nika promote this event, as well as all the amazing work that she's doing with women in batteries. We've been members of the Volta Foundation for some time, and we've wanted to collaborate on some content together since the beginning. And this provided the perfect opportunity, as Nika is truly somebody who is taking charge of issues in our community. She's developed a following and a movement, a very powerful movement in a short space of time. And the fact that women in batteries has developed such momentum is evidence that we have work to do to make our industry more inclusive. So for all these reasons, it was truly an honor to welcome Nika to the show and for her to take charge. So we hope you all enjoy. We've been working with the Volta Foundation for a while, and it kind of all first started off with working with Rebecca Walkoff. She contributed to our DEI article last year, Supercharging DEI in Battery Technologies. And from there, I was inspired by the work that you're doing in women in batteries. So since then, I've been really keen to invite you onto the show and for you to take charge and talk about all the great work that you're doing. So looking forward to this episode. Let's start with why you founded the Women in Batteries element of the Volta Foundation. So talk us through that and kind of what inspired you.
Yes, of course. A lot of it came from personal experiences. So when I first entered the battery industry, I was part of a startup and I held a product management role. So I was a bit technical as well as business. You know, at a startup, you wear many hats. So from the business perspective, I started attending many conferences, the battery show, ABC, etc. And there I saw a big lack of female representation. And then as I continued in my career, I started working more closely with battery manufacturers. And there I saw even less representation. So in the industry, I started feeling a little bit, isolated, alone. And I really ached to see a female role model, an executive like that looked like me. So that inspired me to create this project, Women in Batteries, with the first simple goal to empower and inspire women in the battery industry and provide them with role models and just a really supportive community. So other young professionals don't feel like myself when they enter the battery industry.
Great. Or maybe not great, because, you shouldn't have had to found it in the first place. But no, exactly. I mean, we're going to a conference next week. We're going to the battery show in Stuttgart next week. When this comes out, this is going to be after the battery show on the 24th. We're going to be releasing this on the day after Women in Engineering. So the day of Women in Engineering. So a good time to share this. So let's see what the demographic is like in Stuttgart next week.
Yeah, I think it's improving. I think it's slowly getting more and more diverse.
Yeah, I was in Novi last year. That seemed pretty good. But as you say, when you go into a room or, whatever, when you're in an industry, you want to be with people that you identify with. Of course, you want to be around people that are different and provide you with more perspective. But if you don't have that sense of belonging, or if it's not an inclusive environment, which sometimes it isn't when there's only one type of person, or if it's, not a diverse group, it's daunting. So kudos to all the work that you're doing. So when you founded Women in Batteries, what was your intention and what was the mission that you set out for it?
Yeah, so the mission was to inspire and empower women in the battery industry. And also I just wanted to shine a spotlight on some of the amazing female role models we have in the industry, like Shirley Meng, Barbara Hughes, Selena from Leiden. And that was the initial goal, pretty simple. But then over time, I realized that I had the potential to build a really strong community of women leaders in order to empower them to create positive change in the industry. So I really hope that our community can collaborate to address some of the key industry gaps that exist in terms of diversity and inclusion, and just make it a more welcoming and positive place for everyone.
The foundation is worldwide, so you have role models in.
Yes, we try to make it worldwide. We've had speakers from Canada, we've had speakers from US, and we hope to expand to Asia and other countries. But in terms of the demographic of the women that attend the events, it's really worldwide.
Kind of personal experiences, what can you share that inspired you to kind of enter into this project?
Yeah, definitely. So apart from just feeling a little bit alone because of the lack of representation, I think also I've had some professional experiences that were a little discouraging. I will make a note that I think society has changed in a lot of ways. I think even, batteries is very welcoming to everyone. And, most of the people in batteries come from automotive, semiconductor, mining, right? And I know a lot about the semiconductor industry from PDF Solutions, and it's a lot less women than in batteries. So I will premise this by saying that the battery industry is already ahead of some of those other industries in terms of diversity and inclusion. But professionally, I think women still experience subtle bias. So a lot of the time I've noticed, when you're in a group and it's mostly men, as a young woman, you may not be taken very seriously. So I've definitely noticed those subtle differences from how I'm perceived versus my male colleagues. So that also has inspired me to create the Women in Batteries project with the hope to slowly change things like that. So it truly becomes equal between men and women.
Yeah, have you experienced being maybe spoken to in a different way? So I think sometimes I've identified this before in certain team members. They'll communicate with people differently based on who they are. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing.
I have noticed that people are less firm and more soft with me because I'm a woman, I think. And I think that can be to my advantage as well. But I've noticed differences. A lot of the time I get called sweetie and things like that. And honestly, I don't mind nicknames, but I know it comes with something else, right? The not being taken too seriously. Your opinion doesn't count as much. So I've definitely experienced that.
I know there's been many, but talk us through your most successful projects so far.
Definitely, yes. So moving on to a more positive note, it's been an amazing experience with Women in Batteries. So initially we started with just, community building. So the first project within Women in Batteries is to launch the virtual interview series where I bring an amazing woman to a Zoom event and anyone can attend. And I interview her for about 20 to 30 minutes. And then the audience can ask her whatever questions they like. So when I began that first initiative, my first interview was with Dee Strand, and she is an amazing woman, the CSO of Wildcat Technologies. And thank you, Dee, for being the very first. So she was amazing. But what surprised me is that so many people attended. So Jamie, you might know, but for virtual events, the average conversion of RSVPs to people that actually attend is about 20%, I think, might be even less sometimes. For this very first interview, around 200 people RSVP'd and over 100 attended. So it was around a 60% conversion rate, which was just incredible. And it just showed me how important this initiative was and actually encouraged me and the amazing people within Volta to keep going and building on the project. So that was amazing. Over 100 people attended. And now the interview series has grown and we have around 500 RSVPs for our interviews on average.
Those are impressive numbers in terms of engagement, people signing up and then actually following through and watching it. It's obviously kind of captured the imagination and people believe in this. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because of a lot of different factors. I think one factor is that it's incredibly difficult to get a female mentor. I think these women are incredibly busy. It's hard to reach out, it's hard to connect. And a lot of the mentorship programs, which there are actually not very many in our space, are not super effective because it's a very forced style to connect people together. So having these sort of micro mentorship opportunities through the interviews allows professionals like myself to be able to connect to these role models that they follow online, that they read papers of. I think that's part of it, is the ability to actually engage with role models live. I think another part of it is I try to make the interviews not only focus on being a woman in the battery space, but really focus on just two women chatting about batteries. So a lot of the topics, get very technical. They're very specific to the woman that I'm interviewing. So you see kind of the demographic change for each event because they're people interested in the topics that the speaker specializes in. So I think there's a great opportunity to learn about different subjects in batteries. And then finally, also, since I try to make it fun, I think people really like getting to know the speaker on a personal level. So I ask them a lot about, their life, their hobbies, what books they recommend. And I think people really enjoy that fun aspect of it. And of course, finally, the community building. So I see a lot of women connect after the interview, chat with each other, present opportunities to each other, and just, be part of a supportive network.
I remember you had Barbara Hughes on the show, you interviewed her. It was really great. And yeah, she's doing some great work with She's in Power, obviously a kind of female mentorship society community for women in the energy storage field. That's of course for Colorado, which hopefully will expand. So can this also be achieved through Women in Batteries and the Volta Foundation? Is it more kind of informal? Would somebody simply reach out to a guest you're interviewing, or to you? How would that work to anybody listening?
So far it's been informal, and I've also had women that I have attended reach out to me to ask for introductions to the speakers. So I've done those. But the next part of the Women in Batteries project is really enabling change in the industry. So we hope to expand the project beyond just, the interviews and networking events to actually creating working groups so we can enact positive change. And that may include, workshops for women. I've had a lot of women ask me for, career-based workshops, how to negotiate, things like that, all the way to really diving deep into the diversity and inclusion policies that exist and giving suggestions to companies in our field how to improve their workspace. So that's the goal. So hopefully in the future, women can use Women in Batteries as the platform to directly connect to mentors, to learn a lot.
Yeah, we'll delve a bit deeper into what the future holds for you and kind of what, how the mission is evolving. But first, I mentioned before kind of when this is going to be released. It's going to be released on the 24th of June, the day after Women in Engineering Day. What, just in terms of progress, what progress are you seeing, and is the rate of improvement fast enough?
So I think from the positive side, as I discussed, batteries is in a lot better position than automotive, mining, semiconductor. So that's great to see. I think even from when I entered the space, which was, I don't even know, 4 years ago, so not that long, I've seen a lot of change. So when I attend these conferences, I see a lot more balanced panels. I see a lot of women at the C-suite talking about their experiences and equally participating in those technical conversations. So that's wonderful to see. But no, I don't think the rate of change is fast enough. We need to close some gaps. For example, a topic that has come up during my interviews with these amazing women is the gap between academia and industry. So you see a lot more women in academia, but not so much in industry. You very rarely see C-suite executives that are women. We can probably count on our fingers in the battery space who those women are. So we need to accelerate the improvement. We need to continue to amplify women's voices, provide them more platforms. And then internally, within companies, we need to make better professional development programs. We need to have better diversity and inclusion policies, work-life balance to encourage a more diverse workplace. And I think I like to always link it back to, beyond just the conversation of, oh, the world should be an equal place, but actually how it's beneficial to our industry. It's there have been studies done, and everyone knows that diversity is key to success, right? And we, as professionals in the battery industry, want to see the industry grow, want to make batteries successful. So it's really key to ensure that our teams are diverse, our companies are diverse, because it will benefit the industry as a whole.
You answered my next question. So how could we improve the rate of kind of improve that rate? But that's so true. Yeah, there's so much that can be done, and education. I think a lot has been said, a lot has been done in terms of what diversity does for an organization. The positive. The positive aspects of that innovation is a clear one, but of course in an inclusive environment. If it's not inclusive, then it's not going to work.
And I think it's difficult. I think the battery industry is at a kind of a crossroads. The focus is really, especially in US and Europe, is on innovation, and that means a lot of startups that are very fast paced. I think a lot of the time, maybe there's no real thought to diversity and inclusion because it's not these large conglomerates that are accelerating the battery industry. It's very impressive professionals that are innovating. So it's important to take a step back and think, okay, are we as a company being inclusive? What kind of policies do we have? Is our team diverse enough, and things like that?
You make a good point, because if it's still made up of relatively small companies, it's a young industry, we still have time to get this right. And as you say, it's way better than mining. I used to work in mining a few years ago before moving into batch technologies, and I did a few articles and some studies on that, and it was terrible. It was obviously such an old industry as well. But yeah, I think we have a real opportunity in batteries to make this right. So you've got a really big event coming up, an in-person event in Stanford University on the 26th of July. So yeah, obviously wanted to promote that in this conversation. Talk us through what's going to happen on the 26th of July.
Definitely. Thank you for the support, Jamie. We're very excited for our very first event, Women in Batteries in-person event. This is going to be a one-day conference at Stanford in partnership with Stanford StorageX. So I'm very excited. We're going to have a lot of amazing women speak on panels about batteries and female empowerment. We're also going to have some workshops going on. So the goal of the event is to, of course, on the surface level, foster connections and networking for the women that attend. We'll have professional headshot opportunities for the girls that come, and also companies that will be there that are looking for more talent. So that's on the surface level, but really on a much deeper level, what I hope the attendees come out with is, of course, learnings about batteries, but also with more of a personal connection with the women that attend about what it means to be a woman in the battery industry, and more tangible outcomes of where are the gaps in the industry, what does it mean for the industry to be a positive and inclusive place. And I think they'll be very influential for the people that attend, but also will give the project a more concrete direction, so we can start working groups and additional initiatives within the project where we can actually enact that positive change and take the initiative from just a community of wonderful women to a community of women leaders that makes positive change. So yeah, I'm very excited for the event. There'll be delicious food there, amazing people. It'll be super fun. We have some incredible speakers at the event as well. So the CEO of Exponent, we have a lot of the big names that you may know. So Selena from Lighten, we have Tracy Atkinson from Tesla, Judy from Viola Research. So many incredible women, across the industry, academia, as well as industry. So I think there'll be a lot of opportunities for learnings and just a lot of fun.
And yeah, there's I think Barbara's going to be there as well from Forge Nano, and Paige from 10-9. So it's an impressive lineup.
Very excited to have them on board.
Very impressive lineup. Obviously, people are going to take different things from the event based on their their experience and how they listen, how engaged they are. But what would you like people to leave the event taking from it?
I would like them to leave the event feeling empowered and feeling proud to be a woman in batteries. And for the men that attend, because it's welcome to everyone, I want them to feel proud to be in an industry with such amazing female leaders.
Great. I was going to ask that if all genders are welcome.
Yes, all genders are welcome, of course.
I unfortunately can't be there this time.
Oh, that's too bad.
Of course, going to Stuttgart. I've got a couple of other trips coming up, but for the next one, of course, I'd love to go.
Yeah, we'd love to have you there.
No, for sure, definitely. And this conversation, is to kind of make up for that, to say sorry that I can't be there, but it's going to be amazing. And is it going to be available to stream for people who can't attend in person, or?
No, not this time, but I think maybe next year as we expand the conference, we'll offer some of the sessions by stream.
An incentive to go. So of course, if you can't go, you're going to miss out on all this amazing stuff that's going on. Very good. So it's a full day. Obviously, an amazing lineup. A question is going back to mentors. Obviously, plenty of potential mentors there. How important are mentors in the professional world?
I think mentors are important, but not in the traditional aspect. I think when people think of mentorship, they often think of coffee chats with mentors and, very kind of scheduled, rigid relationship. But I think it's a lot about having support, right? So every single woman that I talk to, I make sure to ask her, the women that are successful, I make sure to ask them, how are you able to spend all this time on work and achieve such amazing things? And they keep saying is having a supportive network. So having those leaders fight for you, right? And mentorship doesn't have to come in a traditional form. And it also doesn't necessarily have to come from someone that is like you. So a lot of the women that I talk to say it's really important to have a good relationship with those people that you work with, right? With your bosses, and having people champion you, your colleagues as well. So it's those small kind of informal micro mentorship relationships that are key to your success.
I'm kind of going all over the place here. I want to go back to something else we were talking about before about kind of what more can be done to improve inclusiveness, improve the balance, and create a more harmonious industry and a more innovative industry. I'm sure people listen to this when I ask this question, they're going to say a lot. But what more can men be doing to drive this change?
I think supporting their female colleagues is very important. Putting them on the same level as everyone else, and also paying attention to what are their skills. I think one aspect of female personalities is a lot of the time women are more timid and less inclined to fight for opportunities. So I think it'd be incredibly helpful for their male colleagues to help fight for them when they see that a woman is super talented in one aspect and that she'd be great in another role. I think we need that support.
Yeah, I think ultimately what I said before, we could be doing a lot more, to be honest. I think identifying that male privilege is a thing as well. I think in terms of the way that boys and girls are typically raised as children, the psychology and things like that, the norms, it causes men to be maybe overconfident about their abilities. And that kind of filters into the fact that they only need to match around 60% of the job requirements to apply for a position. Whereas a female applicant, because maybe hasn't had that kind of instillment of confidence and been backed all, over the years, they'll only apply for a position if they meet the requirements by 80% or more. So women are traditionally more likely to rule themselves out of a position before they've even applied for it, or rule themselves out of that promotion.
Yeah, I've had conversations with some of the women through Women in Batteries, asking what are the opportunities out there. And, they say, I found this great job, but I don't meet the requirements. I'm going to keep looking. And I say, oh, no, apply for it, apply, right? Because as you said, most women don't apply unless they meet the requirements. And yeah. So that's why it's really important from the company perspective to ensure that you are attracting female talent. And I think it could go into a very deep conversation, but a lot of things matter. Even the wording in the job description matters, right? So I think it's really important to dig deeper into hiring practices because by doing the, traditional hiring wording of the job description, you are not attracting a diverse pool of candidates.
Yeah, definitely. Gender neutral language, not putting too much criteria in the job description. But yeah, that was something that Rebecca Wolkoff told me actually when I was conducting this research was she would tell women to don't rule yourself out, let them rule you out, apply for the position. Because yeah, it's just super interesting, all kind of psychology around it. But yeah, I think men could be doing a lot more to identify that, male privilege is the thing, to empathize, to support, to not speak to women differently necessarily. We're kind of talking before about nicknames and things like that. It's super important to overall perception and inclusivity. We could be talking about this for ages, but let's talk about the future. I know you kind of went to this a bit before. Remind me exactly when you started Women in Batteries. It's not been that long.
No, it hasn't been that long. The very first virtual interview was actually in last September.
So really not that long. It was a similar time that we founded Take Charge, actually. So what are your plans for it? Kind of where do you see it going? And what are your kind of goals and aspirations now that we're kind of like 9 months into it?
Definitely. So it's to, of course, expand beyond just the virtual interview series. I, of course, will continue that on a bi-monthly basis, but have the yearly conference as well, where women will get to connect with each other and where we can really dive a bit deeper into the issues in the industry. So this year, about 160 people can attend, but I hope to expand that year after year after year, have more panels, have more amazing women and men speak up about batteries and issues in the industry. And then from, the perspective of creating tangible change, starting next year, I'm hoping to put together a working group of amazing women leaders where we can actually start, looking at policies that exist, start looking at what we can do to fill the gaps in the industry. So actually, making change on an industry, policy, company level. And I think, giving some guidance to the companies in this space of how to make a inclusive, diverse, and positive work environment.
Did you anticipate it taken off as well as it has done?
I didn't have that many expectations. I think I just wanted to build a fun, empowering community. So I'm very, very grateful and happy at how the community has grown. And I've met through this project so many, not only amazing female leaders, but also amazing just professionals in the industry that attend the events. I've connected with so many of them. And it's just been so heartwarming. And I can't wait to see the community grow more and more.
I speak to so many people who, rate what you're doing very, very highly and really appreciate, you take this is, you're not getting paid for this. You're doing this as a kind of volunteer, and I think you're taking time out of your life. It's something you're very passionate about. So thank you for doing that and for taking charge, as we say here.
I love that.
So since you started it in September, what are the biggest lessons that you've learned so far that you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, there are so many. I think I would like to bring it back to the power of community and support, because in developing your professional side of your life, that's what's most important. And I didn't know that previously. Women always get asked that question, how do you do it all? And the answer is we do it with the support of others. So most of the amazing women in our industry have supportive friends, colleagues, partners that allow them to thrive. So one of the most important things that I say to women is you need to create a supportive network around yourself, and that's important for both personal and professional growth. So there's no such a thing that exists as, work-life balance. I think it's a fantasy word, but there are people and environments that help you, thrive.
And just a few questions to finish off. Really enjoyed this conversation. From a DEI perspective, where do you think the battery industry will be in 10 years' time?
I certainly hope to see more women, both on the business and technical side. I think we will see a lot more representation from women, especially in the C-suite level. I get to meet so many incredibly talented young professionals that have just finished their PhDs or are coming from an incredibly different industry with new perspectives. So I think the industry will be a lot more diverse and positive, and it'll grow. Will be a lot of us. I think the battery show will need to expand even more. I know moved from Novi to Detroit, but I don't know where else they're going to move it. There'll be thousands of more people.
It was terrible last year, wasn't it? It was nowhere near enough space.
Exactly.
and to finish off, Nika, I've got a question from a former guest. Of course, you don't know what this is. You don't know who it is. They don't know this is going to be asked to you as well. So it's kind of random. So this isn't really related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, but it's fine. I'm sure you can give us a good answer. Given the turbulence recently, there has been turbulence. What's your outlook on the future of battery technologies, specifically in the USA? Well, North America.
I think I am kind of right in the midst of the turbulence per se. I work with a lot of Asian manufacturers as well as with the rising European and North American manufacturers, and I think I definitely notice that the industry is in an interesting place. There's a lot of leftover capacity in Asia. I think that's putting a lot of stress on North American and European countries. But I think what's really going to drive success in the US and Europe is our incredible innovation. I think that's what we're really, really good at. And from Women in Batteries, I see amazing talent as well. So I think the talent pool for professionals in the battery industry is growing and growing. So I truly believe that we can use our strength in North America of innovation and drive it to, full scale manufacturing and drive it to success. And I think that's what's most important, is keep innovating on battery technology and then use, the knowledge of the incredible individuals in the space to scale it up. Because I think that's where the challenge is in the US is scale up. If we were able to scale up all these amazing technologies that are ready at an R&D level, we would be the most successful country for batteries, right? So I think the outlook is positive, and I think there are a lot of learnings that professionals have taken, especially from the success of the Asian manufacturers, that we can now implement in North America, in Europe, and grow and be successful.
Brilliant.
And a little pitch, I'll do a little pitch. It's to make sure to use process improvement and manufacturing analytics, which is what I work on.
Through you, yeah, of course. We'll tag you in this podcast so they can reach out to you.
Reach out to me.
Very good. Nika, I've really enjoyed the conversation, and obviously huge kudos to what you're doing there at the Volta Foundation and Women in Batteries. What you've achieved in such a short space of time is amazing. We've had some guests on Take Charge like Barbara Hughes, who will be there on the 26th. Adriana from Mora Batteries, and Naya Boone as well. Mora Batteries, Charlotte Flanagan, Group 14. Of course, yourself to come on the show. I feel awful if I missed anyone out there. But again, we've been talking about, women in batteries and diversity, equity, and inclusion. You talk about your speakers the amazing speakers that you've had, like Dee Strand, and you've had so many great speakers, there's a common theme here. These are all women in the industry. I think a nice thing for the future to talk about the kind of future of women in batteries is it would be great to have a male speaker. And I was going to ask, actually, for your attendees on the 26th, what is the balance looking like between male and female right now? Or do you just not have that data yet?
I don't think we have the concrete data on that, but I imagine it's going to be about a 70-30 split. So I already know quite a few male colleagues and people in the industry that'd like to attend. And in terms of speakers, definitely we'd love to have more male speakers. And I think that's, part of making tangible changes. You need to involve men in the conversation. So we can all drive positive change, not just the women.
That's actually a better balance than I was expecting. And that's good. That's good to hear, because something I was saying before, what more can we do as men? I think we could do a lot more. We need more male champions for change, being an ally and things like that. And that's good to hear that actually you're getting good attendance there. So that's good to hear. I implore more men to get behind this, because it's a super important topic. And I think as I talked about the future of our industry in 10 years' time, we're going to be much further along, because there's going to be more debate, more innovation as a result of that.
So we need to set the standard right now before we explode.
Exactly. So just to finish off, for July the 26th, do you still have space available? And if so, how can people sign up?
So if you just go to the Women in Batteries LinkedIn page, you'll see the event post there, and there is plenty of space left. So everyone go there and register.
Nice. And obviously plenty of nice food, some great speakers. When I release this on the 24th of June, the day after Women in Engineering, I'll post a link to your profile, a link to the Volta Foundation Women in Batteries profile, so people can sign up. And yeah, sorry again I can't be there, Nika, but next time you will, and I look forward to seeing you at the battery show next week.
I look forward to it as well, and also thank you, Jamie, for all the incredible work that you do and for supporting the initiative and Women in Batteries. You've had some amazing speakers on here, and thank you for having me.
No, my pleasure. I look forward to being interviewed by you in the future.
I'd love that.
See you later. Thank you, Nika. Bye-bye.
Thank you.